Hello everybody, it's me, TricksterShadow, and today we have a new developer update, which is actually pretty surprising, at least to me. I guess this means that maybe a PTB is going to be coming out tomorrow. I actually don't know. I know that the next update is going to be coming out tomorrow for the Trickster and hopefully for the palette fixes as well. But at least for right now, we have a developer update talking about some of the changes that are going to be coming in the next mid-chapter patch, because this next patch is going to be a mid-chapter since we've got the Trickster release, because they always do new content and then mid-chapter every release. That's our release schedule. And so we have a developer update for the next mid-chapter for the P2B. So we're back with another developer update, a series of posts over the biggest changes coming to Dead by Daylight. This time around, we'll cover a long list of killer, perk, and quality of life updates that'll appear in the update on the PTB. And then the first killer that they're updating is the Nightmare, or Freddy. Now, Freddy is kind of a divisive killer. A lot of people don't like him because of how strong he is. His base kit is just has a lot of things going on it. And so, and also according to the statistics, he has the highest kill rate in the game. And so the devs have been wanting to do something to him for a while to try to kind of reel him back a little bit from being so crazy. Because his kill rate, I believe, is above 3 kills average when all the other killers are around 2. And so if like the average kill rate for him is 3 and everybody else is 2, then they got to reel him back a little bit if they want to try to keep everybody around 2. And that's what the devs want to do. They want to try to keep the average kill rate about 2. Obviously, that's average kill rate. Obviously, if you're better than like the average player, then you'll get more than 2 kills per game. Or if you're worse than the average player, you'll get less. And so when you hear that they wanted to make the average 2 kills, they're not trying to make it to where like good killers can't perform ult killers. That's one thing that I always see people saying, like, oh, they're trying to make it to where people can't win. And no, that's not what they're trying to do. But, anyways, they're saying for some time, the Nightmare stood out of the crowd with a particularly high kill rate. Like I was talking, average roughly 3 kills per match. With that in mind, we've made some slight tweaks to bring him closer in line with the rest of the roster. We've decreased his movement speed while placing his snares to 4 meters per second. Previously, no speed change. And reduced the maximum number of placed snares from 8 to 5. Likewise, the maximum number of dream pallets has been reduced from 10 to 7. Which I don't think they really need to do the dream pallets, but it's kind of whatever. Just 7 pallets is still decent. I don't really think they needed to nerf dream pallets personally. It would be interesting if they made it to where like you could like tell something was a dream palette, like if it would like flicker like every 15 seconds. That'd be neat. But yeah, so what they're trying to do here is basically he goes down to survivor movement speed, because survivors move at 4 meters per second when they're running, and so he goes as slow as the survivors when they're sprinting when he's placing a snare, and then when he's not placing a snare he goes at the regular 4.2. And I actually think this is a pretty good change. I think in addition to this, if this proves to not be enough, then they should also make it where his bloodlust resets every time he places a snare. Because one of the big problems with Freddy, and what makes him so oppressive in chase, is that he can just, at least right now, he can just place snares at. They can place like 3 snares at a loop, and if you stay at the loop, then you try to loop it and you get hit or you die. Or if you try to leave, then he just follows you outside of the loop and you have to throw another pallet really fast or you get hit. And so he's very good at efficiently getting rid of pallets, and he really doesn't have much counterplay as a result. Obviously, he's an M1 killer, so he still has to M1 twice, and that makes him not as like crazy in chase as some other killers like Nurse or Billy. But that in combination with him having a really good chase and really good at breaking the resources of the map very, very quickly, combined with his insane map mobility. He has the best map mobility out of any killer, even better than Billy or any of them, since he can teleport across the entire map in just an instant. So him having really good chase, him having really good map mobility, and him also countering like bar time and being able to slow down people with his power and stuff like that. His base kit is super crazy. So them nerfing his chase potential a little bit, I think is good, especially considering how much of the map he can cover. And this will still make him really good in chase. It's just they're trying to limit like how good he is in chase to try to make it more, trying to make it less like brain dead. Essentially, they're trying to make it to where you have to more think a little bit more, have some, at least a little bit of like drawback to his power, I guess. Because right now you can just spam snares, and if you spam snares everywhere, you have no penalty for doing that, and you just get purely rewarded just for like spamming his power. I think it's good. I don't think that they need to do this to dream pallets. I would rather them make it to where like the dream pallets flicker instead of reducing the add-on. But It doesn't seem like a bad change all around. A handful of add-ons have also received changes. Add-ons which were previously reduced action speed, these are like a jump rope, swing chain, stuff like that, now make various actions louder, repairing generators, grunts of pain, and footsteps. Black Box also has a brand new effect. When an X gate is opened, it is blocked for sleeping survivors for the next 10 seconds. Okay, so I have a couple of opinions. I think these are cool. I really don't like add-ons that reduce or I don't like add-ons that make it to where like the objectives go slower. Because since I think there's already so many perks that make things go slower, having add-ons that also do that, I think is just too much. They already nerfed the add-ons that reduce action speed previously, but them like completely changing them to do something else, I think is good and healthy for the game. And I actually do kind of like this. These are add-ons that I would most likely run just because like I don't know. I like it when I can like hear stuff a little bit further. That's one of the reasons why I like surveillance. Is just being able to hear gens from further away is actually pretty useful information, even if it's just a few meters. And then this change to the black box, I think actually needs to be buffed even more. So they made it to where when the X gate is opened, so right after the X gate opened, the any survivor that's sleeping can't go through X gate for the next 10 seconds. But that's only when it immediately opens. I think that they should change this and make it to where instead of it just being when it opens, survivors can't leave if they're asleep. I think that would make it much more interesting because this is an iridescent add-on, but it only has influence for 10 seconds after the XA is opened. And so that's a really, really bad iridescent add-on. And so instead of them doing that, instead of them making it to where it only activates for 10 seconds after the X gates opens, they should make it to where you can't leave if you're asleep. If you try to go up, you get like the like blood warden effect where it's blocked for you, or like the when killers like go up to the exit gate and it blocks for them. Same thing happens for the survivor and they can't leave while they're asleep and they have to go wake themselves up. I think that'd be a lot more interesting and that would make his perks a lot more interesting because Freddy has end game perks. He has Fire Up, which is only really useful in the end game. Even then, it's not really that useful. He has Blood Warden. He has Remember Me. They're all end game perks. And so having an add-on that also works with the end game would be actually really cool considering the type of synergy his built-in perks have. I think that would be a lot better of a change than just making it to where you can't leave if you're asleep and you have to go and find your alarm clock or have somebody else wake you up. So that's what I would change with that. They're also changing the alarm clocks. They're making it to where alarm clocks also receive some tweaks and to make their effects clearer and more rewarding. Using the alarm clock will now make you fully immune to sleep, including sleep caused by the killer hit for 30 seconds. So if you pull an alarm clock, now instead of you just not falling asleep for a short duration, even if the killer hits you, you won't fall asleep, which is a pretty good change. But it's only for 30 seconds, you got to remember. But those 30 seconds of you not falling asleep, even still, is gonna it's gonna hurt Freddy quite a bit. Like this, I honestly think that this is gonna hurt Freddy more than the actual like slowing down with the snares if survivors constantly wake up. But even then, like if they're constantly waking up, then they're not doing gens as efficiently. And like yeah, it's gonna have drawbacks to his chase, but then they're not doing gens as efficiently, so his chases don't need to be as good because they're trying to constantly counter his chase. And so this change, well, I do think it is a nerf towards Freddy. I don't think it's like that crazy of a nerf. Yeah, it's just I like it. I like this change. I think it's a pretty neat change. And they said this effect is now shown on the HUD by turning your sleep timer yellow and having it tick down. And I'm guessing it ticks down for the 30 seconds to tell you when like you can be attacked again or when you can fall asleep again. With these changes, we hope to promote a more strategic use of the dream traps rather than place them constantly during chase, which is what people currently do. I mean, I even currently do it because you might as well as encouraging survivors to seek out and use alarm clocks. We'll monitor his performance closely and adjust where necessary going forward. So overall, I think these Freddy changes are good. Of course, I want a few tweaks to them, but even if they don't do the tweaks, I think this is actually a pretty good change and is able to go live as is. Of course, I still want to test on the PTV, but it seems like pretty good changes. And also changing the Demogorgon. Our focus for the Demogorgon is to give him more mobility with his portals. We've made the following changes to his base portals: increase speed while in a portal, so traversing from one to the other, reduce the cooldown when exiting a portal.
Gimme, gimme, chicken tendies.
Wow, Salty Dog, thank you for the follow. I have my alerts still on. And so this is like you can't climb through the portals for so long after you use a portal. They're reducing that so you can just teleport more often. And then they're increasing the undetectable length after exiting a portal. And so this is good because the Demogorgon's portals are the weaker part of his base kit. And even make them better, you have to run add-ons in order to make them better, like Deerlong or stuff like that. And so I think these are good. In addition to these, though, I think that he should also set his portals down faster, because one of the big reasons why I don't use his portals isn't even because like they're not good for mobility, because they are good for mobility, even with how slow they are currently. It's traversing. I don't set them down just because it takes so long to set them down. It only takes like a few seconds, but I would rather him just, as soon as he presses control, it just sets down a portal and he can just like keep on going. And I think that would make him a lot better if he just pretty much instantly set down portals, and that would make his portals a lot more fun to use and easy to use. And then on top of these changes, they're also changing some of the add-ons to make them more appealing. Lifeguard Whistle, which is currently undetectable, I believe. It's one of the undetectable add-ons. A rusty metal whistle that once ruled the Hawkins public pool. Survivors near activated portals are indicated by the killer instinct without having to charge of the abyss. And so basically, normally when you're charging up your pounce, if somebody's on a portal, it'll tell you that they're on the portal. With this, you don't even have to charge your ability, and you'll be alerted if somebody's on your portal, which is, it's nice. I don't know if this is necessarily a purple add-on. This sounds like it should be like a yellow or a brown maybe, or even like maybe a green, not necessarily a purple, but it's still cool nonetheless. And then they also changed Rotten Pumpkin, which Rotten Pumpkin I believe it gives you an extra portal. I'm obviously just operating off of memory, but I believe it gives you an extra portal. They're changing it to where when you traverse the Upside Down, the portal you enter is destroyed, and you gain an additional 200 blood points for traversal. And this may seem counterintuitive, like you're destroying your own portals. Like, why would you want that? But considering that the Demogorgon doesn't have traps like the Hag or like Freddy, where they just automatically replace themselves, like if you place like the max amount of traps, say like with Hag, you have 10 traps. If you place 11 traps, the first one that you had ever placed, the oldest one, will be replaced when you place that 11th trap. Demogorgon doesn't have that. When he places all of his portals, he can't place anymore. And so having this add-on and using it to destroy the portal that you come through is actually pretty useful, because it allows you to more often use your ability. If this is how you play, obviously like not everybody's going to have this playstyle, but if you try to use his portals often and try to set his portals in a bunch of places and try to like keep your portals pocketed so you can use them constantly, I think this is actually pretty good for certain playstyles. Because I have run into matches before to where I just don't have my portals because I already set them all down, and then there's a portal in the corner of the map that I can't use because they never cleansed it, and the gens are already done over there, and it's just is useless for the rest of the game. And so this add-on, I think, does have some interesting synergy with some people's playstyles, and I'm curious to see how people use it. So overall, good changes. I think that they should buff the portals a little bit more, making it where you can set them down faster. But otherwise, good changes. I like them, and I also wish that they would have made Rat Liver base kit, but it is what it is. I guess one step at a time. One step at a time. Also making some changes to the Huntress. I said, don't panic. We've not changed the Huntress's base kit, thankfully, because Huntress gets nerfed for really every patch with the amount of trees they had. We have, however, done a pass to our add-ons to bring them up to the modern standards. Yes, this included the infamous Iridescent head, which is touted as the most powerful add-on in the game, which I would necessarily agree with. Currently, it's really, really strong, considering how you can pair it with infantry belt, but that's something that they addressed. So she has a new iridescent because they want to give all killers 2 iridescents, and she's one of the like older killers that only has 1. So soldiers, Pooty. I don't know how you say this. A wrap taken from a dead soldier. It provides protection and support to the ankle and lower leg. The Huntress moves at 4.6 meters per second when she has no hatchets. So 4.6 meters per second, that is the 115% movement speed. That's the same speed as Trapper or Wraith when he's out of cloak, or Billy when he's just hobbling around. That's the regular 115% movement speed. So when she's out of hatchets, she can just run you down. And so I actually like this. I think this is a pretty interesting add-on. And I already foresee people doing builder quests on my live stream of me having no hatchets and just being M1 Huntress. I already know this is going to happen. And then Iridescent Head, they're making it to where it does the exact same thing. They didn't change anything about it, which is, oh my god, controversial. But the only thing that they changed about it is that you can't use any belts with it. You can't use the infantry belt or the yellow belt. I forget what it's called. You can't use anything that stacks more Huntress hatchets. So normally people would run Iridescent Head, which makes it where you only have one hatchet. Then they would run like Infantry Belt, which gives you 2 more hatchets, so you have 3 Iridescent Heads. They're making it to where you can't do that. The only like if you're running Iridescent Head, you can only ever have one Iridescent Head. You can't have more than one, which I think this is good because Iridescent Head, if you miss your one hatchet, then you got to go reload a locker. Otherwise, you're just a normal movement speed killer. But I'm curious because you could pair these two together to where you can try to one shot, and then if you've missed your one shot, then you're just a normal movement speed killer where you can still land a hit on them. And so this would be kind of a fun add-on combo to run, I think. But yeah, I think these are good changes. I'm curious to see them change more. I kind of wish that they would have addressed the exhaustion add-ons, because the exhaustion add-ons that Huntress has, and that even did they change the clown? I believe they changed the clown, didn't they? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. But they need to address the Huntress exhaustion add-ons because they're from a different day and age. Because exhaustion used to work differently. They need to make it to where the exhaustion add-ons for Huntress do a lot less. Which I don't believe they've changed. They probably already. I don't know. If they've already changed them, then forgive me. I'm stupid. But they also changed the twins. They made it where the twins has increased cooldown after successfully downing a survivor within Victor. Increases cooldown after successfully downing survivor with Victor from 3 to 5 seconds. And so this is a pretty significant nerf to the twins. So what this means is after Victor hits somebody, and specifically when he's downed somebody, he goes into a little cooldown animation, and he's vulnerable in that animation to where he can be kicked. And they're making it to where his vulnerability state is longer, making it to where if he downs somebody, if somebody else is nearby and they run up to him, they can kick him and have a bigger window in order to kick him. Which sure. I don't really like it, but I understand it because the twins is a very annoying killer and very oppressive killer to go against. I would have preferred that they make it to where he has less of a cooldown if he downs somebody, but if he misses an attack, I think that he should have like the 5-second cooldown and have a bigger window for people to run up and kick him. I think that'd be a lot more understandable. But even then, like, I can understand why they're trying to do this. And then they're also making it where the camera control is now immediately restored when taking control of Charlotte. So that's like the immediate switch. Then Silencing Cloth, which is very weird. They're buffing Silencing Cloth, which I find very weird because Silencing Cloth is already really nutty. They're increased the undetectable duration to 20 seconds upon taking control of Charlotte. So if you don't know, there's a very specific playstyle that you can do with the twins, to where you have Victor sitting somewhere else, and then you have Charlotte sitting next to the hook. Obviously, like as close as she can be. And then you just run around with Victor, and then if you think that anybody's going for the save, you just go back to Charlotte, and then now you're gonna have 20 seconds of undetectable, and where you can go back to the hook and just smack them on hook, which would be problematic because that would counter borrowed time and everything. But they changed borrowed time, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So this would be an issue if they had it have changed borrowed time, because this would have made it where borrowed time is even more useless against the twins, even more than it already is. And they're also changing Iridescent Pendant, but still, like, I don't know why they increased this. I guess because the borrowed time change. I don't know. This buff doesn't really make sense to me because it's already a good add-on. Their Iridescent Pendant, they're increasing the exposed duration to 30 seconds when a survivor crushes an idle Victor. So basically, if you kick Victor, then you'll be exposed for 30 seconds, and if Charlotte hits you, then you're just insta-downable. Which is whatever. And then they're updating small game. Has come to our attention that some of you really hate small piles of bones. To aid in your totem destroying mission, we've added some long requests and changes to small game. So they're buffing small game, which hurts my soul as somebody that likes Detective Hunch. They're buffing the direct rival, the Detective Hunch, but that is what it is. Small game now shows the number of remaining totems as tokens on the perk, which is very cool. I've been asking for this as just like a base mechanic, but the fact that they're adding it to a perk is also cool. And the detected range is decreased by 5 degrees for each totem cleansed, making it more like fine-tuned cone that you can zero in on the totems whenever you destroy totems. And like if you see like in a direction, instead of it being like a 70-degree cone, then it'll go down to like a 60 or like 50 degree cone of you being able to find them like a little bit faster, just because of how like fine-tuned the cone, the field of view cone is for the detection. And they're also making it where a small game no longer detects killer traps, and they're doing this just because it counters killer traps just too much, and is just from more of like a legacy type of the game, and they don't want it to do that. So all in all, I think good change is a small game, very very interesting. Hopefully, people start to run it more. Anything that changes the meta, I'm very much so looking forward to. Speaking of changing up the meta, they're changing Lucky Break. If you don't know, Lucky Break is the add-on, or not the add-on, the perk to where if you get injured, then you don't have any blood that you leave behind for the killer to follow. In addition to that, they're also making it to where it hides your scratch marks as well as your blood. And so when you get injured, it'll start the timer at tier 3 is 90 seconds. So you have 90 seconds every time that you get injured to basically run away and have no scratch marks or blood. But what, and I see a lot of people going crazy about this, that 90 seconds is, it doesn't ever replenish. That 90 seconds just continually goes down while you're injured. And so when you heal up, then it obviously stops the timer, and the next time you get injured, it just piggybacks off. So like say the first time you get injured and the killer immediately drops chase for some reason, and then you heal up, and then you have like 70 seconds left, it won't go up from then. You'll start at 70 seconds the next time you get injured again. And now this is a pretty strong perk, and especially paired with Iron Will, it's gonna be pretty good. If you do like Iron Will, Lucky Break, Quick and Quiet, and Lithe, and just ghost out of the area, the killer will have no idea where you went. But this seems like really strong, and it is strong. But most likely, the survivor is only going to get 2 uses out of this a game, because more than often than not, they're going to be using like 40 seconds of it just to even get out of the chase and be able to heal themselves up. And so they're really only going to have like 2 uses of a game. And you can still have like your eyeballs. Obviously, it's going to mess with your tracking a little bit. But I would rather perks like this be in the game, because they're more interesting. And this breaks up the meta. This is what we should be wanting and asking for, even if you're just a purely killer player. Things that break up the meta, make people want to experiment with more perks. These are good. These are good changes. And so I actually really like this. This is going to be a strong perk, and I can't wait to see it in the matches, and I can't wait for it to just style on me. All right, and then they're also changing Soul Guard a little bit. Small change here, Soul Guard now has a cooldown of 30 seconds after activating. Realistically, this won't affect vast majority of cases. This change is purely to prevent stacking healing perks and Soul Guard from getting out of hand. So this is a problem that has been in the game ever since Soul Guard came out back in like summer of 2020, I believe. I don't know how long period it's been out. I think it's summer of 2020, yeah. So if you don't know what's going on here, if you stack We're Gonna Live Forever, which increases the healing speed when somebody is slugged, with Soul Guard, and all of your team has that, 2 people can heal up a slug before the killer can recover from their hit, and the slug has just invulnerability. And so if they get hit, then they're just invulnerable and they can just boost off. And so what they're trying to prevent is there's a way to keep a killer hostage in a match to where all of your team has Soul Guard and We're Gonna Live Forever, and they just constantly, if somebody gets slugged, 2 people just pick them up instantly with We're Gonna Live Forever. If the killer tries to hit the slug, then the slug goes down. If the killer tries to hit somebody else that's not the slug, then that person goes down. While the killer's recovering from their blood wipe, they can just pick up that person off the ground and just really be able to just keep the killer in the game forever. And of course, like there's counters to this. Like if you're playing Leatherface, then like you can just keep on bopping all of them. Or if you have Stabiffle, say the best for last, then you can counter it a little bit. But if you don't have those 2, if you don't have that killer or don't have that perk, then you're pretty much at the will of the survivors and hoping that they make a mistake. And so I like this. This is realistically not going to affect how the perk works in the game. It's still going to work just as fine. It's still going to be just as strong. It just makes it to where you can't hold the killer hostage, which is a good change. Because realistically, if you proc Soul Guard and you go down again, you're not going to be using it again within the 30 seconds. It's going to be very limited, like the times that you actually do that. Because if you get Soul Guard and you boost off, if the killer hits you and you boost off, the 30 seconds has already started at that point. And so by the time you go down, you may have like 10, 15 seconds if you immediately go down to proc Soul Guard again. And by the time that timer's up, you're going to have Soul Guard again to just pick yourself back up. and the timer won't even matter. And so this is a good change. It's a good change. It's been a long time coming. Wish they would have done it sooner, but it's a good change all the same. And then takes two on open-handed. If you didn't know, they changed open-handed to where it doesn't stack previously, but they increased the aura reading a little bit. And they're increasing the aura reading again, making it to 16 meters now, and it no longer stacks. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it to where this perk is worth running by itself, but they don't want to make it busted by a bunch of people running it. But I don't even think it was necessarily busted. The reason why they're making it to where you can't stack open-handed, if you don't know what open-handed does, it makes it to where it increases the aura reading for aura reading perks. And so you can increase the aura reading by 16 meters for aura reading perks with this version of open-handed. They don't want situations where somebody's running Kindred and then everybody in the team is running open-handed, and then they basically have object of obsession on the killer over across the entire map without the killer actually being able to see them, which is actually pretty strong. But it depends on running Kindred and everybody running it open-handed, and so I think like it wasn't really as big of a problem that needs to be changed, but it's fine that they want to change it. And 60 meters is still quite heavy, and that's 60 meters on top of the already aura reading that you have. And so this is actually pretty neat. I'll probably end up running it because I really like running Bond, and this will make Bond even better of a perk to run. And so this is pretty interesting. I like the change personally. I just wish they didn't get rid of the stacking, but it is what it is. Zenshin Tactics. Oh my god, Zenshin. And making it to where it's permanently active and no longer has a cooldown, and it also has a larger range, because it makes no sense that Zenshin, because Zenshin currently it goes on cooldown whenever you hit somebody. It makes no sense why it goes on cooldown. It's such a bad perk. And they also have a large range. Zenshin Tactics, I think, should be completely reworked to do something else, personally. And they should make Zenshin Tactics, the actual like perk effect, they should make that just a basic perk. That's something that new players can find in their blood webs. Because this is a perk that is locked behind a paywall that is meant for people that are new to the game. Because me as a killer, like I know where the pallets are. I know where the windows are because I've been playing this game for a while. The only time that I could see this being useful is if I'm new to the game, or like I could see it being useful like if you're doctor, I guess, if you're trying to learn doctor. But otherwise, like I don't know. It just I wish they would completely rework this perk and then make like a general use perk that uses this instead. But good change nonetheless. And this is a really huge change. This is a little bit of a nerf to killer, but I think this is dreadfully needed just because of how some killers interact with borrowed time. So they're to remove some confusing intricacies with borrowed time and how it interacts with killers and the oblivious status effect, we have removed the tear radius condition for the perk. To compensate, we have reduced the duration of the endurance to 8, 10, 12 seconds. So they reduced the endurance to 12 seconds, but they made it to where it activates no matter what now. It doesn't need the tear radius. Like, they don't need to hear the killer's tear radius at all. If, I'm guessing it activates no matter what. It doesn't really clarify in this. I assume it's activating no matter what. It may only activate if the killer's nearby. I hope it activates no matter what. Well, I guess we'll see. But if it activates no matter what, this is still a really strong perk. It's in fact it's stronger than it was before, even though it's reduced the amount of time that you can actually get hit by. And this is really good against like one of the big problems is like with Victor camping the hook, and then since Victor doesn't have a tear radius, he can just down the person that just got saved because they don't have borrowed time. Or if you're like somebody's camping with the Wraith, then like they can just go after the person that just got off hook, or stuff like that. Or Charlotte, like I was talking about with the undetectable, she could just go and like bop them. So this is a good change. I like this change. It makes it a lot less frustrating to deal with like camping killers and stuff like that. And then object. This is a change that people have been wanting for a while. The PTB will have the newly reworked object. Anytime your aura is revealed to the killer, their aura is revealed to you. Or wait, anytime your aura is revealed to the killer, their aura is revealed to you and gain a 246% bonus to healing. So if the killer has like barbecue and the killer sees you on barbecue, then you'll see the killer on barbecue and you'll both be able to see each other at the same time. And then you'll also gain a 6% bonus to whatever you're doing. Which 6%, that's a crazy amount. I feel like they could buff this as well, but still, it's cool. And this is good if, like, if the killer's nurse is calling, you may be able to finish up the heal a little bit faster. And then if you are the obsession, your aura is revealed to the killer for 3 seconds every 30 seconds. So you get a 3-second boost, or to whatever you're doing, and you can see the killer's position every 30 seconds, which is still pretty cool. I actually really do like the intricacies of this perk. I think it's pretty neat. So they're having a few benefits: being able to track the killer, being able to deduce which aura reading perks the killer has, and then being able to track the killer and sneak away before they get there. And so I like these changes. It makes it to where, because one of the big problems with objects, if you don't know what object does, it makes it to where you can see the killer and the killer can see you as long as you're outside of their terror radius. And this is very abusable on maps like Midwich, to where it's very hard to get to people, or just like very big maps, people just run really early and be able to. Pretty much a lot of people would run object. Not everybody, but a lot of people would run object just to stay out of a chase. And this kind of reduces that. People actually have to play the game in order to actually use object. And they're changing toolboxes. Basically, they're making it where toolboxes receive skill checks more often, to hopefully to where you can hit rates more often and be able to keep your toolbox a little bit longer. They're also changing hatches a little bit, making it to where if you open a hatch with a key, instead of it being 30 seconds that it's open for, it's only open for 10 seconds. Have a smaller window for everybody to jump in, which is cool. They said that they will be reworking keys soon. They just haven't done it yet. They're updating the HUD a little bit. They're making it to where the Doctor's Madness, which is one of my critiques of the HUD, is currently the Doctor's Madness. You can't differentiate tiers whenever somebody is shocked. And so they're making it to where you can differentiate tiers now, like it was with the old HUD. They're also making it to where the Freddy's world effect and sleep timer are a little bit different on the HUD, and the Plague's infection meter and the stock and Ghostface meters are different on the HUD as well. So it's pretty good. Seems like pretty good changes. Can't wait to see it. And then they're also changing struggling. If you don't know, they've announced this pretty recently on the Twitter GIF. Basically, they're making it to where, like, you know how with Pyramid Head cages, you have to do skill checks in order to not die, and then if you miss a skill check, then it reduces the amount of struggle that you have by a little bit. They're making it to where instead of you smashing your buttons in order to not die when you're struggling on hook, make it to where instead you got to do skill checks. Now this is very cool. They're doing it in the name of accessibility, but I kind of hope that this is a toggleable feature. It doesn't look like it's going to be toggleable. Looks like this is just going to be the new feature. I wish that they would make it to where you can either choose one or the other, because, and this sounds bad, but purely just because I'm lazy. Because I have a macro to where I can just push a button and it just automatically struggles for me. And so this actually requires me a little bit more effort out of me, and that makes me sad. But it's a good change, and they're also making it where if you miss 2 skill checks in a row, if you actually really do want to die on hook, then you'll just die immediately. And so they're still leaving in to where you can kill yourself on hook, but they're trying to make it to where people that have like nerve disorders or people that struggle with mashing a button, the game isn't as hard to play for them. So it's a good change all around. I still wish it was toggleable though. But I like the devs are trying to make the game a little bit more accessible. They're taking baby steps, especially after all these years, but at least they're going in the right direction. And they're also updating Colden. This is actually pretty exciting considering the screenshots that we got. I was gonna put a funny intro here, but it was too corny. In case you missed it, the next realm slated for a graphical update is Colden Farm. Check out this concept art, or check out the concept art. Wait, check out some concept art from the upcoming rework. This isn't concept art though. This is in-game screenshots. But like, look at this. This is amazing. Oh my god, this looks so good. This doesn't look like DBD. Obviously, you can tell it looks like DBD because of like the trees and stuff like that. But like, this looks really good, and it's, I think, the brightest map we have. I think Dead Dog might be a little bit brighter. Like, look at this. Oh my god. It looks so good. I honestly cannot wait. This looks really good. I'm honestly very impressed with how they made this, because I wasn't too thrilled with the Autohaven and Macmillan changes and how they look, but this looks amazing. I can't wait to test this out and like look around the map. And of course, I'll make a video just showing off the map for everybody that can't download the P2B or doesn't want to. But I can't wait. This actually looks really good. But all in all, that's the end of it. That's the end of the update. All in all, I think this looks like a really good update. Looks like a really good P2B. I've been really disenfranchised with behavior with the past couple updates, to be honest with you. But it looks like they may be going in the right direction. I hope that by the end of this year they'll have all the maps already reworked, and they'll be going in like a better direction with the game, and they'll be able to fix some of the underlying issues. And they are trying to fix some of the underlying issues. Like, they're even doing that with this update. And so I hope by the end of the year the game is in a lot better place, and that we actually have a game that everybody can be really proud of, and everybody's less frustrated with the game. And I think we are on that path. So thank you all for watching. I know this is a little bit longer of a video, just trying to dissect it and give my opinions, but I really do appreciate you guys for watching. I will be live streaming later today, so if you want to watch, twitch.tv/TricksterShadow. And I have some videos coming out later this week. So if you haven't already done so, consider liking and subscribing. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye, everyone. Have a good rest of your day or night or whatever. Bye bye.